Hi, I'm Bill McGee. You can find me volunteering at the Pat Calvert Greenhouse or leading tours at the Seattle Japanese Garden.
And I'm Sean Corey, an investment professional by day and ballroom dancer by night.
We are both members of the Arboretum Foundation Board of Directors.
And co-chairs for this year's gala.
We are so happy that you've joined us for this fun, inspiring evening in support of the Washington Park Arboretum. So, grab your beverage of choice and let's get this gala started.
Honoring place. The University of Washington and University of Washington Botanic Gardens, along with the Arboretum Foundation and Seattle Parks and Recreation, acknowledges the Coast Salish peoples of this land, the land which touches the shared waters of all the tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations.
Hi, I'm Swil Kanim. On behalf of my elders and my ancestors, thank you for the recognition and acknowledgement. It's an honor to be recognized and acknowledged. I'm reminded when I think of the Arboretum of a very special time in my life when I was going through a difficult time. An elder told me, you need to go spend some time with the trees. And I was like, but I live in South Central, where can I go spend time with trees? And you could go to the Arboretum at the University of Washington. I did. And it was the beginning of a beautiful understanding that my whole life I've been inspired by trees. I noticed that branches, when I was a kid, I noticed that branches had a tempo like a metronome. I learned that every line in the grain of the wood is a symbol of a winter survived, that even trees make their mark during the toughest of times. I learned that when I listen to the wind blow through a tree, I'm not listening to the wind. I'm actually listening to the sympathetic harmony of the tree. This is a piece I wrote called Abord Andante.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Arboretum Foundation's 2021 Spring Forward Gala. I'm Angela Poe Russell from King 5, and I am a super fan of the Washington Park Arboretum.
And I'm Jason Morse, Foundation Board Member and Landscape Architect. We're so happy to have all of you here with us tonight as we come together to support the Arboretum and Seattle Japanese Garden.
And wow, we just want to say a big thank you to Swil Kanim for that amazing performance. Such a beautiful tribute, just a lovely way to acknowledge this land and to start our evening.
Yes. I'd also like to thank Fred Hoyt, whom you might have recognized under the hat. He recently retired after 38 years at the UW Botanic Gardens. Most of you know that the UW Botanic Gardens and Seattle Parks and Recreation are our partners at the Arboretum. Fred was involved from the early days of the Center for Urban Horticulture and was a key player in the Arboretum's 2001 master plan. He was also involved in projects ranging from the Pacific Connections Garden to the Arboretum Loop Trail, and his impact will be felt for decades. And he has been one of my favorite tour partners these last few years. To honor Fred, the Foundation has established the Fred Hoyt Botanical Exploration Fund to bring new and unusual specimens to the Arboretum's collections. This evening, we have created an item in our online auction where you can donate to this fund in increments of $38 in honor of Fred's 38 years with the UW Botanic Gardens.
I miss Fred.
Fred has promised he won't be a stranger and will still have his number on speed dial.
Oh, someone's got a sense of humor. We've seen a lot of people weigh in just congratulating Fred. And Jason, this might be a good time for some housekeeping items. So let's do that. We want to assure you that all COVID safety precautions are being taken in the creation of tonight's program. And we want to make sure that everyone has the link to the auction page. So here it is, afgala21.ggo.bid. That's afgala.21.ggo.bid. This page will be your center for all things auction this evening and also where you'll go to donate to the Arboretum. Now, if you haven't registered yet, there's still time. Just click the Get Started button on that page. And if you've already signed up, just log in or click your personalized link in the latest text or email.
Now, some of you may be wondering how to watch the program and bid on the auction at the same time. My insider tip is to watch the live stream on a larger screen, like a laptop or smart TV, then grab a second, smaller screen like a phone or tablet to bid and donate. There's even a magic thermometer to watch as the donations increase throughout the evening. So please donate whenever you're ready.
I love the idea of the magic thermometer, and hopefully we'll just see it rise and rise as we progress. And meanwhile, while we certainly are raising money, we also want to hear from you and see what's on your mind. We love seeing what you have to say in the chat. Make your comments, use that chat feature in YouTube, and you can use it to ask questions or just let us know where you're viewing from. I saw someone there from Alabama. They said roll tide for Jane. That was pretty cool.
That's awesome. We've also had lots of folks tuning in from all across the country, lots of folks tuning in from Seattle. We've got some folks from Florida, and lots of donations coming in already for the Fred Hoyt Fund.
Yay,
and lots of congratulations coming in for
all
Fred
right,
as well.
We'll get an update on that number in just a minute. Now, you may not know this, but I'm originally from Florida, and I definitely have some favorite places in the Arboretum, but I'd love to learn more from an expert, like to do a deeper dive. I wonder if we can find an expert.
Well,
I don't know.
I was hoping you might. I was hoping you might ask that question, Angela. So we just so happen to have lined up a tour to show you some of the places, people, and programs that make the Arboretum and Japanese Garden special. So let's get started.
Can't wait.
Hey, everybody. Well, here we are at the amazing place that has brought us all here together tonight, the Washington Park Arboretum. With spring just a couple of weeks away, I know we're all excited for our favorite plants to come into bloom, but we don't have to wait. I'm here in the Witt Winter Garden, one of my favorite parts of the Arboretum. Peak blooming time around here is between December and mid-March, so right now. And I can tell you that these plants don't just look beautiful, they smell amazing. There are over 4,000 types of trees and other plants here at the Arboretum, a 230-acre paradise right here in the heart of our beautiful city. This is truly a living museum where plants of all kinds are cultivated for education and scientific purposes. It's also a beautiful public park where all members of our community can come together to be renewed. And of course, the Arboretum is free to enter. which sets this place apart from just about any other public garden like it in the United States. That's right, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, you, me, our friends, our parents, our grandparents, our kids can come to the Arboretum for free. It's my Arboretum, and yes, it's your Arboretum too. But it's not free to operate. And that's why we're here today. So let's hop in the cart and have a look at some of the exciting things that your generous donations help to fund. Let's head to the Magnolia Collection. There are over 40,000 plants from 98 countries in the Washington Park Arboretum. People come here to relax, to reflect, and just enjoy the natural environment. It's Seattle's largest garden. One of the most impactful contributions that the Arboretum Foundation makes is to allow kids from all parts of our community to learn in the natural environment. And don't look now, I think I see Kate McHugh, School-Age Programs Coordinator with our partners at the University of Washington Botanic Gardens. Hey, Kate.
Hey, Jason, thanks for coming out today. We've been providing youth and family education opportunities at the Washington Park Arboretum and the Center for Urban Horticulture for 20 to 30 years. And these programs and offerings have grown to provide opportunities for about 7,000 to 9,000 participants every year. Those programs include a suite of offerings like school field trips, summer camps, Fiddleheads Forest Preschool, so something for everyone from ages 1 through the end of high school. So when COVID hit last year, we really had to change what we were doing to make sure that all of our participants, staff, everyone was staying safe as possible. So that did mean that we had to let go of our field trip program for the year. So if we couldn't bring youth and family here for environmental education, we wanted to bring environmental education out to youth and family. Some of the ways that we are bringing environmental education out into the community are primarily 3 different programs. First is our virtual field trip program. Another thing we're doing is our exploration kits, which are seasonally based packets of activities. Finally, one of the things we're really excited about are our on-site visits. So we have connected with a couple of different child care programs through Seattle Public Schools that are meeting in person right now and are joining us once a month on phenologically based explorations of the natural world at their school site. So in these site visits, we come on site and we provide some phenologically relevant education. You know, what natural phenomena can we observe right now on the grounds of our school? In October, we got to explore the natural phenomenon of seed dispersal. So what that meant was first sort of asking the questions, why do seeds disperse? And then second being, how do they disperse? And that's where we really got to dig in. And it was really cool to just sort of watch them dive in, see what they notice about the seeds. What do they wonder about the seeds? What does it remind them of? In a year where so many things went wrong and sideways and up and down, a lot of things also had to go really right for us to continue doing the work that we're doing. And one of those things was, in a very major way, the support of donors like you. It was great talking to you. Bye, Jason.
The Arboretum is an incredible outdoor classroom. I've had the opportunity to collaborate with the teachers and work with some students and families at Fiddleheads Forest School here, and I've been so inspired by what they do. The research around the benefits of nature contact for children in terms of their physical health, their mental health, their learning is accumulating. It's become increasingly clear how critical these nearby public spaces where we can access nature, how critical they are for all of our health and well-being.
Well, thanks, Dr. Tandon, Kate, Jason, we appreciate it. You know, my daughter attended one of the summer camps a few years back, and every day was this new adventure that I know I would not have had the capacity to do on my own. So it was great to partner with the Arboretum on that. And I am happy to introduce, we were just chatting and I didn't introduce, Jane Stone-Cipher, Executive Director of the Foundation, who's going to be joining me for just a few moments. Good to see you.
Well, thanks, Angela. And it's so fun to be part of this magical mystery tour this evening. I'm glad to hear that your daughter was a happy camper. And in fact, I brought you one of those education kits that UWG developed. so you can take home and share with the whole family.
I love it. And thank you. It has the magnifying glasses here, also the stuff for scavenger hunts, plant trackers, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, all kinds of good stuff.
Thank you.
Not only are we looking for ways to bring folks to the Arboretum, but also how to bring the Arboretum home to you.
That's it. Well, thanks, Jane. I definitely see some fun activities in store with this, so I appreciate it. And I'm curious, as director of the foundation, do you have a favorite part of the Arboretum? Can you choose?
Ooh,
I know, it's a lot to choose from.
That's a hard one. I think I have a new favorite every week.
Okay.
As a Southern girl, I do have a soft spot for the Magnolia collection.
I could see that. I could totally see that. And by the way, speaking of something Southern, I spotted a pound cake in this auction. And you have to tell us about that. What gives?
Well, who knew, but March 4th is also National Pound Cake Day. So I'm including one of my mother's 8-egg pound cakes in the auction.
Okay, so you mentioned one ingredient or 8 eggs, but are you going to reveal the rest of the recipe? Twisting arms.
Well, let's just say they don't call it pound cake for nothing.
Ooh, hint.
But it does seem like a good time to highlight some of the other items in the auction. So we have 3 closer to home getaways that seem just perfect this year. Bird watching on Whidbey, a ranch in the Paradise Valley outside of Yellowstone, and a fabulous 3-bedroom condo in Suncadia.
And I saw that you could also stay in covered wagons at a ranch in Montana. That's pretty cool. And of course, we're just all looking forward to some warm weather travel, hopefully later this year. And the Alaska Airlines tickets are just perfect for that. And I was curious about the Paul Chihara package. I know he's a famous composer who's done lots of scores for films as well as symphony and ballet pieces.
Yeah, we are super excited about that. As part of the 60th anniversary for the Seattle Japanese Garden, we've commissioned him to write a custom chamber piece for the garden. Our current plan is that the piece will debut in the Summer Garden Party in August. The winner of this item gets a behind-the-scenes look at the creative process, a signed copy of the score, and VIP status at the debut. It's a very unique opportunity.
That's what I was
thinking.
thinking.
I'm really excited about.
One of those priceless kind of things.
Exactly.
You know, we were asking folks when this all started, hey, let us know what's going on. Where are you viewing from? And I can see we have lots of people who are talking about the pound cake. And I know still some people trying to get on and getting their links. But by the way, I want to mention that this Fred Hoyt Fund, 50 donations totaling over $10,000 so far.
Yeah,
that's pretty incredible.
Fabulous.
So let us know where you're viewing from. Check in. We love reading your comments, so we'll look forward to those. And Jean, I just want to mention, I know like probably a lot of nonprofits, it's been really difficult for the Arboretum Foundation.
Yeah, so true. A number of Arboretum revenue sources like the gift shop, rentals, and plant sales have been mostly suspended throughout 2020. And the Japanese garden was limited to 25% capacity. But at the same time, visitorship to the Arboretum has been higher than ever. And we've heard from so many folks that the Arboretum has been their saving grace during the pandemic, a place to recharge the batteries, physically and mentally. So with our partners at Seattle Parks and Recreation and UW Botanic Gardens, the whole team has been focused on how we create a safe and welcoming environment for our visitors. And you know, I am super proud of our staff. They've been creative and resilient, including in imagining tonight's program. And with your support, we figured out ways to maintain positive momentum. You know, we're all stewards of the Arboretum together, and I just want to take this moment to say a big thank you to all of you. So let me share a couple of examples of the stewardship this year. For years, there's been a need for more restroom facilities at the south end of the park. And I think many of you can relate to what I mean here. In November, we installed the first composting toilet in a Seattle park near Pacific Connections. It's both environmentally friendly and a welcome sight for visitors. And in the course of the project, I learned a bunch of new potty jokes, but I'm going to spare you those tonight. Another example of our work on a renovation of historic Rhododendron Glen and the restoration of the surrounding watershed. But, you know, I think I might need a little help from my friends to tell that story.
All right, well, I think Jason is heading there now, so let's take a look.
Wow, I wish I had a piece of that pound cake to take with me today. Meanwhile, we've arrived at our next stop. The Washington Park Arboretum is a place steeped in history, and nowhere more so than here in beautiful Rhododendron Glen. Did you know this was one of the first parts of the Arboretum planted way back in the 1930s? And who did I just see frolicking among the rhododendrons? It's Ray Larson from the University of Washington Botanic Gardens, here to tell us more about some exciting new things that are happening in the Glen.
Rhododendron Glen really has it all. It has towering trees, a babbling brook, interesting rockeries and landscapes, and a variety of interesting plants, primarily in the rhododendron family, but also a lot of nice woodland understory plants. One of the things we like to do with this project is emphasize conservation. We have several rhododendron species we've just added, including this rhododendron hookeri, which has beautiful red flowers. It is native to the Arunachal Pradesh region of India on the frontier with China and is currently vulnerable to extinction in the wild. We also have Rhododendron magniflorum, which is critically endangered in the wild, and that gets to be quite large. That's from a small region in China. We have several other species, including Rhododendron orbiculare, critically threatened in the wild, as well as Rhododendron williamsianum, which is only known from a few mountaintops in China. Many of these species are threatened due to continued development, climate change, and fragmentation of their natural environment. So in the Glen, we have a variety of species that were previously thought to be extinct and known only from fossil records. We have a wonderful grove of redwood relatives, the dawn redwood, discovered in China in the 1940s, and then more recently, the Wollemi pine from Australia, which was only recently described less than 15 years ago. We're conserving these plants because it's important to have representation of their genetic material that is safeguarded in botanic gardens. And botanic gardens are really the leaders in doing that, so they can potentially be reintroduced into the wild. Conservation is also occurring on the local level. Over the years, the tree canopy had closed up and invasive plants had started to move in. Thanks to the generosity of Mary Ellen and Gordon Mulder, we've been able to embark upon a significant renovation of Rhododendron Glen. Thanks to this gift, we've been able to hire staff to remove the invasives, open up the canopy, selectively thin plants, and plant many new species, resulting in a garden that is more diverse than ever before. Come spring, you'll see a lot of new woodland plants blooming along with species rhododendrons and companion plants. Another big part of the project is working on the Rhododendron Glen stream. We're working with the Berger Partnership to bring much of the stream back to a more natural state, so the waters that run off the surrounding landscape that eventually go into Arboretum Creek run clear and provide better habitat for wildlife and therefore people. So long, Jason.
One of the most difficult parts of the last year has been our inability to travel. And yet here I am in the middle of New Zealand. Actually, I'm still in Seattle in the New Zealand forest section of our Pacific Connections garden. I just love that I can come to the Arboretum and feel like I'm transported to all these places around the Pacific Ocean without getting on a plane. And I think I saw Joanna Long, who's here to tell us a little bit more about this fan favorite garden.
Hey Jason, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the Pacific Connections Gardens. These gardens highlight plants from New Zealand, China, Chile, Cascadia, and Australia. These regions were selected because they have similar climate to Seattle. You can come and learn about all the different regions that we highlight here. There's information about all the different areas, all the countries, and the ecosystems. In these gardens, what I think is really awesome about them is if you think about plants, they live in community just like people live in community. And what we've done with these gardens is bring the whole plant community over to the Arboretum, so you can stroll through and see a whole ecosystem just like you were strolling through the mountains in the Siskiyous or through New Zealand. One of the cool plants that we have here is giant Himalayan lilies, and these plants take 7 years to bloom. They have a huge stalk that comes up. It's like about 8 feet tall in the spring and has these giant, fragrant, kind of creamy yellow flowers in the springtime. And then those stalks stay up all winter with these really awesome looking seed pods. So that's just one of the really cool plants that you can come see. One of the other great things about this garden is that we have tons of volunteer help. The Arboretum Foundation has many volunteer programs, and one of them is the Garden Stewards program. The garden stewards come here and they help take care of the garden by weeding, and they make the garden look great year-round. I could not do this work without them. Oh look, there's some volunteers now.
I've been volunteering for about 5 years. I enjoy it thoroughly. I've met a lot of wonderful people. It's a great place to get out, do something for your community, and be outdoors. I encourage everybody who's interested, please come out and volunteer.
I've been volunteering here in the Arboretum for about 6 months, though I've lived in the neighborhood for over 30 years and really taken advantage of all that the Arboretum has to offer. As a volunteer, I've had a chance to learn a little bit more about collections, meet some great folks. I really appreciate having the opportunity to give back to a place that's given me a lot of pleasure over the years.
Bye, Jason. Thanks for stopping by.
You know, I loved hearing from the garden stewards. It looks like they find the work meaningful and they're having fun. Are there some other volunteer roles at the Arboretum that people could consider?
Yes, there's lots of choices. We have volunteers at the gift shop, the Pat Calvert greenhouse, and the plant donations nursery. But Angela, I think that you might want to get together with your colleagues and come for a corporate work party. I can picture a King 5 mulching party.
Oh, I can see it.
Help with that.
That's Alyssa, our volunteer programs manager. Alyssa, she's everywhere.
That was the biggest hint ever.
As I was saying, there's a wonderful group of docents at the Japanese garden and also volunteers who assist with all kinds of Arboretum events. There's units throughout the community that have acted as advocates for the Arboretum for decades. But I will say that one of the hardest things about the pandemic has been limiting volunteers in 2020, and we are so excited to soon see their smiling faces once again. Personally, I think volunteers are the secret sauce for the Arboretum.
Well said. And I understand some volunteers have been part of the Arboretum for, decades? And I don't know if everyone knows, but you may remember the story of a 90-year-old woman who walked 6 miles in the snow to get her COVID vaccination. Well, that was Fran Goldman, and she is an Arboretum volunteer. So there you go.
Fran's amazing. She's one of our plant donations volunteers. We all love that story. Others of our long-term volunteers have stepped forward tonight to create a matching fund for the donations received during the gala. One of these volunteers told me she first learned about the Arboretum when she volunteered at a plant sale decades ago, and to this day, it's her special place. Another loved to see the spring flowers in bloom. And we've also received a truly wonderful anchor gift from the estate of Barbara Bonjour, who would take a portion of her annual vacation to volunteer for the Arboretum. Thank you to these friends.
Wow, and yes, with their generosity, we have a $75,000 matching pool for all gifts received during the gala. That's $75,000. And Jane, should we take a look at the magic thermometer because I'm really excited about this. Let's do it. With donations made before the event and so far this evening, we're already up to $116,000. Yay, we're doing so great. And we love seeing all of your comments. I see Martha saying the Arboretum is amazing. So wonderful to see so many people there daily. And by the way, while I was talking about the thermometer, the magic thermometer, with our matching pool, every gift moves us not 1, but 2 steps closer to our goal. And we're going to talk more about that goal in just a few moments.
But meanwhile, I'd like to give a shout out to our wonderful sponsors this evening. A big thank you to Noriko and Doug Palmer. Thank you to some returning sponsors, Marshall & Sullivan, Park Shore, the Burger Partnership, and I'd like to give a shout out to Andy Mitten and the whole design team for the Rhododendron Glen project that you just heard about. I'd like to thank Safeco and Freestone Capital.
And we are delighted to welcome Seneca Group and Arboretum Foundation Unit 16, a community group on the East Side, as sponsors this year. The foundation received in-kind support from our studio partner, Seattle Lives, the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival, Plant Nerds, and Edmonds Community College.
We also received early gifts from NBBJ and from some of our community advocate groups, Unit 175, Unit 5, and Unit 80. And their gift was made in memory of Jan Kreitz. Thank you for helping us spring forward.
Yes, and remember to keep bidding. I already saw the thermometer move by like $7,000 more. So keep bidding, keep doing what you do. You know you want to try a true, authentic Southern pound cake baked by Jane. And I think the bidding, last I checked, it was already at $700.
Yeah, I don't want to think how much that is per slice.
I know, right? This could be a thing.
Well, meanwhile, I bet our trusty tour operator, Jason, is arriving at his next stop. So let's see where he's taking us.
Next, we have a very special stop at the internationally recognized Seattle Japanese Garden, which is celebrating its 60th year. Right here, we have a very special guest, the Consul General of Japan here in Seattle, to welcome us.
Last year on October 5th, my wife and I joined Seattle Japanese Garden for a tree planting ceremony. The day marked the 60th anniversary of the hand planting of trees by their Imperial Highness Crown Prince and Crown Princess visiting Seattle in 1960 as part of the 100th anniversary of the Japan-US Treaty of Amity and Commerce. With such a long history, I express my sincere gratitude to the Seattle Japanese Garden for its important role of spreading Japanese garden culture.
We're wrapping up the 60th year for this very special place, which opened to the public June 5th, 1960.
The 60th anniversary year in Japan is called Kanreki, and is marked as a significant milestone of rebirth. But it has certainly unfolded in a different way than we had initially planned. We stayed engaged with the community through digital programming. We offered free downloadable and online activities during our annual Koi Day and Tanabata and hosted virtual exhibits. Northwest Nikkei by Michelle Kumata, which celebrates the Seattle Japanese Garden and our local Nikkei community. And Seeing Seeds Stories, featuring 5 local artists who portrayed the garden with their own stories. With the support of the Japan Foundation Center for Global Partnership, we launched a series of interactive video workshops in September. These 4 workshops were offered for free through Zoom and featured traditional Japanese art demonstrations in topics such as sumi calligraphy and Buto dance by local experts. Stay tuned this spring for more digital programs including Chado, The Way of Tea, Japanese tea ceremony.
I'm also very excited about our new partnership with the renowned composer Paul Chihara. He is composing a special piece for the Seattle Japanese Garden.
Paul is Japanese American and was born in Seattle in 1938. He was composer in residence for the San Francisco Ballet for 10 years, and his work is internationally recognized. Check out our auction item to be involved in this incredible world premiere. While our koi fish hibernated for the winter, our garden staff has been hard at work. As you know, the pond is a central focal point of the garden. Did you also know that it's connected to the main Arboretum watershed? It was time for a periodic renovation of the pond to ensure integrity of the shoreline and a healthy ecosystem, both for the resident koi and turtles, but also for the flow into Arboretum Creek. The first part of this work happened in 2019, and the large central area of the pond was addressed this winter. Kudos to Pete Butnicki and the whole Seattle Park crew for this big accomplishment. We also very much appreciate a grant from the Japanese Garden Society and our Camellia Circle donors who helped fund this essential project. Finally, I'd like to tell you about a special moment last October. A small group of garden lovers, including Mayor Darkin, Park Superintendent Agera, Consul General of Japan in Seattle Inagaki, and our Executive Director Jane gathered outside the garden to plant the Hiroshima Peace Tree. This tree, grown from the seeds of a tree that survived the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, was planted on the 60th anniversary of the Japanese imperial family's visit to the Seattle Japanese Garden.
Many hands had a part in this special project, led by volunteers Susan Ott-Rolfe and Noriko Palmer.
including Ray Larson from University of Washington Botanic Gardens Special Collections, and of course Green Legacy Hiroshima, the organization that propagated the seeds and donated them to the garden. The Seattle Japanese Garden also received a commendation from Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs for our work in furthering mutual understanding between our countries.
Thank you for spending a few minutes in the garden with me. I hope you visit again soon. Bye, Jason.
What a message of hope in an uncertain world. The garden and the Arboretum have been a source of hope and inspiration for many of us during this pandemic year. And now, I'd like to introduce you to Jenny Wyatt, our board president, to share more on that message of inspiration.
Hello, I'm Jenny Wyatt, and I'm delighted to be the president of the Arboretum Foundation Board. The poet Mary Oliver was inspired by the many lessons she found in the natural world, and she expresses the inseparability of nature and the human spirit. Here is one of my favorite Mary Oliver poems. What can I say that I have not said before? So I'll say it again. The leaf has a song in it. Stone is the face of patience. Inside the river, there is an unfinishable story, and you are somewhere in it, and it will never end until it all ends. Take your busy heart to the Art Museum and the Chamber of Commerce, but take it also to the forest. The song you heard singing in the leaf when you were a child is singing still. I am of years lived so far, 74, and the leaf is singing still. And now let's hear from some others, what they love about the Arboretum and what inspires them.
These are a few of my favorite Arboretum things. The sunrises on Foster Island, the still and quiet of the early morning, the songs of the birds, the beautiful plants, but most of all, the people who come here and find their own favorite things is what makes this place really special.
We moved across the street in 1967, and the Arboretum at that time became my backyard, my place to go, my special place. And I didn't even think anybody else in the whole world knew about it but me.
I come to the Arboretum to run and to walk the trails with my wife. It's such an amazing place. We discover new trees and plants, and it really inspires us to want to go and find out more about them. In particular, we love the redwood forests, and the Arboretum is one of the few places in this area that you can experience redwoods and sequoias.
It's a cold and wet December day, but I'm happy riding my bike on the Arboretum Trail. Thank you, Arboretum, and all Arboretum supporters for making this possible. This is just a fantastic place to be on a day like today.
Hi, I'm Cisco Morrison, and I love Arboretums. I go all over the world to visit them, including the U.S. Arboretum in the nation's capital. Our Arboretum beats the living tweedle out of all of them. So join me in supporting our Arboretum. It's a real gem in the Pacific Northwest. Oh la la!
I like being at the Arboretum because it makes me feel connected to the nature and other parts of the world where the plants come from. There's so much to explore and learn.
I am personally so grateful for the incredible community resource that the Arboretum provides as a place for movement, for respite, for a place to connect safely with others outdoors, and for the children who benefit from all the programming, a place for learning.
Pippin's favorite thing about the Arboretum is finding a new experience around every corner. Every smell is a new sensation, and when your legs are only 6 inches long, every garden and glen is a new adventure.
Hello, I'm Diana. I'm a Kiwi. I was born and raised in New Zealand. It's been more than 40 years since I lived in New Zealand, so it gives me immense pleasure to be able to come here to the Arboretum, and especially to this area, the New Zealand forest, and find a little place, a little part of home.
The Seattle Japanese Garden. During the fall, when the leaves are at their peak, you just can't beat it.
I love Arboretum Camp. The Arboretum Camp is so fun. The counselors are really nice.
I really like the Arboretum because I get inspired as an artist with the colors, the textures, and the compositions of nature with trees and plants.
So working at a hospital, you never really expect to be caught in the middle of a pandemic, and yet here we are. And it's been actually really difficult seeing patients missing their families and family and friends. It's been really hard in that respect emotionally, and so it's really nice to have places, especially outdoors, that we can kind of come and de-stress and kind of get recentered.
Yeah, so we really appreciate all the hard work that you guys do to keep the Arboretum open and beautiful. It's a great place that we like to go, take our 2 little dogs, and just kind of de-stress.
Like many others, our family went through a lot of ups and downs this year. There were good things that happened, engagements, graduations, milestones. But in August, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. And he's doing okay now, but the hard part was not being with our loved ones in person to go through that experience. So we went to the Arboretum to find solace, to go for walks, to make connections with nature and humanity, which is what I really needed.
You know, what I love about the Arboretum and what inspires me most are its beauty, its peace, and that it's a place of reflection and contemplation.
The Senegalese conservationist Baba Dioum has said that people will not preserve what they do not love. They cannot love what they do not know, and they cannot know what they are not shown. The Arboretum is part of what we need to show them, and that's why we're all part of this function today.
We're all aware of the value and necessity of supporting the places that we love and care about. Now is the time that we ask you to donate generously to the Washington Park Arboretum. If you value environmental education and developing the next generation of stewards to care for our precious planet, if you value helping to restore the watershed and improve habitat, if you feel transported to Japan or New Zealand when you visit the gardens, if you've walked in the Arboretum during the pandemic and felt optimism, please support the places you care about and inspire you. Your donation will make a big difference to our Washington Park Arboretum. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting the Arboretum.
Thank you for keeping the spirit of the trees alive in our lives.
That was so beautiful. Definitely gave me chills to hear what the Arboretum means to so many people. There's clearly so much love and passion. Thank you, Jenny, and all of our video all-stars. And now it is time to translate that into financial support. So please visit the donate page now on Greater Giving to make your gift. Who might consider a gift of $10,000 or above?
Well, thank you to Larry Hubble and Shelley Butler for starting us off. You know, you may wonder how your gifts will be used. So remember, our Arboretum is one of the few in the country with no gate and no admission charge. I love what our friend Swil Kanim said, that we're keeping the spirit of the trees alive in our lives. Your gifts support our arborists who monitor and care for sequoias, the maples, the magnolias. You know, after the February snow, they were busy inspecting for damage and clearing broken limbs to keep pathways safe.
Well, as you make your gifts this evening, please consider a donation of $5,000. I want to say first thank you to John and Carol Herster for their gift of $5,000. And then I see we have another one over there, another $5,000 donation.
Yes, from Gordy Davidson. Thank you.
Awesome. And a $7,500 gift from Steve, Allie, and Amy Scott. Thank you so much. And
We're
then
seeing so many gifts come in. Lynn Moe, Shannon Hoffer, April Ancinas.
Looks like Peter Reese. Thank you so much for your donation. Brian Giddens, thank you. Jenny Anderson, James West, we see you.
Sharon Nelson, Ann Carter from Chicago, Sally Clark, Julie Weed. Thank you.
And then Patricia Foote, Laura Zag, Madeline Grant, Joan Affleck Smith. So many to name right now. And by the way, we did get a question about giving from your IRA or DAF. You can go ahead and make a donation now, but just call or email the foundation office. Let us know that it will arrive another way and your credit card won't be charged. So easy way to do it.
Absolutely. And you know, gifts of every size make a difference as we work to make the Arboretum welcoming and accessible for everyone. $50 helps with garden gloves for the stewards. $500 helps bring a class of lower income students to the Arb for a field trip.
All of it helps, and we have so many more coming in. Jody, thank you so much. Jody Foster, Colleen Mulally Mills, Donnie Grabowski,
Jenny Pramick, Gail Longy, Margaret Ann Cashman, Steve Garber, thank you.
Yay, I see the thermometer rising. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm really excited. Can't wait for the big reveal, and still a ways to go. So thank you. I know some of you are making contributions. While you continue to do that, we want to check in with Jason, who is now at the south end of Azalea Way. He is a special guest who can tell us why time spent in the Arboretum is not only good, but just good for you.
Before we finish our tour, I thought we'd stop at one of the most popular places in the Arboretum, here at Azalea Way. Did you know that Azalea Way got its start as a logging road and then served as a horse racing track for many years before becoming the mother of all Mother's Day attractions? Many of us have a strong emotional attachment to this place. But did you know that spending time here is also good for your health? Let's hear from Kathleen Wolf from the UW College of the Environment about ways that spending time in nature is good for our mental and physical well-being.
Hey Jason, great to see you. So here at the Arboretum are so many opportunities to interact with nature for the benefit of both physical and mental health. The studies from all over the world about this tell us how important it is to be in places that are near our homes and in our communities. And it helps us be better at work, play, learning, all sorts of things. The Arboretum in particular is a place that's valuable for mental health because it has this diversity of vegetation and ecosystems. There are studies that actually demonstrate the power of biodiversity, nature walking, interacting with others in nature places, and mental health benefits. Spending even just a few minutes outdoors in a place like this, where one can take in the many elements and beauty of nature, helps to reduce stress in ways that are measurable. There are stress biomarkers, such as cortisol, part of our endocrine system. And when we're stressed, we find a higher degree or amount of this in our systems. So studies have shown that being outdoors reduces blood pressure, reduces the levels of cortisol, reduces other symptoms and expressions of stress. And so being outdoors, short amount of time, stress is reduced. And what that does for us is, of course, obviously the physiological benefits, but it relaxes us in a way that can make us more attentive. It can help us to focus more when in work and learning, and it can even help us to be more creative. So what I've come to learn from the research is the importance of supporting our nearby nature. We need to steward the places that provide so many benefits to us. The power of these places, it's felt deeply, it's felt emotionally, it's known, there's an evidence base in science, and it's so important to have these places around us and to make the most of them. Bye, Jason, I'll see ya.
And he's here, it's like magic. You've been busy.
I have been busy. It's been a lot of fun. Some of my favorite moments in the Arboretum were during the creation of the Azalea Way Centennial Garden where Kathleen was talking. It was a great collaboration between the Seattle Garden Club and the Arboretum Foundation and the city and the university. But Angela, I can see that you and the audience have been busy too.
Oh, wow, we have. And I know we have some people to thank, right?
Yeah, so thank you, Jeff Lehman and Katrina Russell, for your $5,000 donation.
Yes, and I also want to thank, if I can see through the plants, Joshua Peterson, Dixon, 10,000, Stephanie Otis, Jan, thank you for your gift. Bonnie, thank you so much. Brenda Stonecipher, Carol, thank you so much. Graham Crow, we appreciate your gift. Phil Wood, I can't keep up with all of them.
I know.
But it fills our hearts. Foundation Board President Jenny and Scott Wyatt, $2,500.
Wow.
Yeah.
Missy Ward and Jay Johnston, $3,500. Skip Vonks and Zanny Milo, hey guys, $5,000. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the thermometer is kind of blowing us away right now. We're really excited. Remember, we do have that generous matching pool that will really just magnify your giving. So yeah, do it. It doubles the impact.
And Angela, it has been so inspiring to just read on the reader board all of the people who are tuning in from all parts of the United States, and of course in our local community here. We did want to give a shout out to one special person that we hope is watching us tonight, a certain sparkly-eyed emeritus director from the UW Botanic Gardens, John Watt. We want to send you our love tonight if you're watching, and tell you that everybody here tonight and everybody online watching is sending you a big, big hug. We love you.
For people who don't know him, what would you want us to know?
I would want to say that John Watt is beloved. He's the emeritus director of the Botanic Gardens, beloved by so many, and his heart and soul is in every inch of the Arboretum. So I join in a lot of voices in sending him our big, big love tonight.
Well, hopefully he feels that. All right. Well, I know a portion of the gifts received this evening will support cultural programs at the Seattle Japanese Garden.
Yes,
right?
And I hear there are plans for a virtual tea ceremony. I had a chance to participate in one of those recently, and it is a really special experience. I also want to thank our friends at Seattle Parks and Recreation who do such a magnificent job in caring for that garden. You should see the pruning that they do in the Japanese garden is just amazing.
Yeah, well, I've just been advised that there are only a few minutes left in our auction, okay? I have no idea what time it is, but it's going to close at 7 o'clock. So whatever time it is right now, you only have a few minutes apparently. So looks like we have some more comments coming in. It says, we so miss John. And people just, the Fred Hoyt Fund is being updated. I know that was kind of going up as well. We'll have some totals for you in just a minute. But we did just receive an anonymous $10,000 gift.
Wow.
So thank you, friend of the Arboretum. And I see that, again, I mentioned a number of people contributing to that Fred Hoyt Fund. Where are we at? Okay, it's coming in right now. This is breaking news. Okay, 70 donations. Let's see how fast they can type. Do we have an estimate on the total? Okay, I see them pushing some buttons.
I see a dollar sign. It's coming. That's
It's
so
coming.
great, though. Everybody,
Wait for it.
Wait, 1 5.
Wow, $15,000. 70
that's
people
awesome.
at $15,000. Thank you so much for the Fred Hoyt Fund.
That is awesome.
Okay, so take a break from that for just a minute. I don't think I've asked you. Ask Jane. Do you have a favorite plant at the Arboretum? Can you choose?
I can choose. My favorite plant for a long time has been a beautiful specimen of Rhododendron auriculatum.
Say that again.
It's rhododendron. You don't speak Latin? Rhododendron auriculatum.
Got
so
it.
it's
Okay.
auriculatum, which means the leaf is shaped like an earlobe. And it's a beautiful big specimen rhododendron. It's up above the Azalea Way Pond. It's one of the earliest blooming rhododendrons that there is. And it has a beautiful sort of off-white fragrant bloom.
Ooh.
And when it's in bloom or when it's not in bloom, it's just really a spectacular plant.
Check it out sometime.
But of all the plants and places that I love, it's hard to beat Azalea Way in the springtime, especially when we have Dan Hinckley, a plantsman extraordinaire with long connections to the Arboretum, to help narrate, accompanied by music from Paul Chihara. So maybe one more peek back at the tour?
Yeah, you had me at Azalea.
I can still remember early spring days walking down that Azalea Way and smelling that wonderful sweetness of the cottonwoods, and that's the cottonwoods are native down in that wet area. That's where they want to grow. But there's that wonderful sweetness on that first warm day of spring that we wait for all winter long. That boy, every time I smell it now, it transports me right to Azalea Way.
You okay over there?
I am. Who needs a meditation app when you can have Azalea Way?
It was lovely to sit there and have a view in that way, but also better in person for sure.
Yes.
Well, maybe you should make like a custom Arboretum meditation app for those who can't go in person.
With all my computer coding skills, I'll definitely do that. It's on my list. Many thanks to Paul Chahara for the use of his work from The Tempest to help us herald the arrival of spring. It seems like that was custom written for Azalea Way. I can't wait to hear what he creates for the Japanese garden.
All right, well now our time is drawing to a close. I can't believe it, time flew. All right, so we want to take a final look at the thermometer. Are you ready? Wow. Did you see Jason's shocked face?
Oh, what? Oh my gosh.
Like, wait, what?
Oh my gosh.
What? Wow, so we're at $243,000. Gifts are still coming in that will fund the care and the stewardship of the collections and more innovations and environmental education programs. I know I'll let you speak, but I know we're just so grateful.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. You know, this, as has been mentioned before, we need the Arboretum more than ever this year, but it's been a tough year to try and do all of the things that we have to do to support the Arboretum. And so thank you for stepping up. This is inspiring and great and wonderful. Keep it up. It's just awesome. So thank you again to this evening's sponsors, and kudos to Bill and Sean, our magnificent co-chairs for tonight's event, the Arboretum Foundation Board and staff who brought this together. Big round of applause for you guys. Amazing. Our video guest stars, and especially to you, the supporters that make this work possible.
Yeah, and our tour guide. You did great. Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
was so awesome. Well, it's time for a final countdown for the auction. I told you it closes at 7 o'clock. Don't miss out on your favorite item. And have you had Jane's pound cake?
I have not.
Okay, so this is an elusive experience. So if you haven't gotten in on that, definitely you have to try a pound cake, okay? Don't miss out on your favorite item, and then check back in on April 19th for our special mini wine auction. And Jason, thanks so much for this, again, for the wonderful tour. I had such a great time watching that. I definitely feel motivated to go back to the Arboretum again and again.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Angela, so much for being with us tonight. Had a great time, and it's wonderful to have you with us. And thanks, everybody, for a wonderful night and for tuning in and for supporting us in just this amazing way, the Arboretum that we all love so much. So thank you and good night.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Good night. Thank you for your support of the Arboretum Foundation. I hope you like my owl. We called each other before the event and coordinated our attire. I think we were very successful. Good night. Take care.
Thanks for coming.